Hey, what it is, everybody. Welcome back to reality. It's January 5th. It's Monday. It's the first day back at work for a lot of people. Not for me, but for a lot of people. You've been on vacation. Nothing's been happening. You're looking to get caught up on the news. You're not active online. You're not permanently online. You're not looking at Twitter. You're not looking at Venezuela slop. We have some Venezuela slop for you today. That's been spreading. I'll tell you about that. Big show. Big show today. Lindsey Graham is giddy like a schoolgirl. I was going to say something about him having some kind of like mental orgasm while he was hearing about the things we're going to be doing next. He is very pleased with Donald Trump. Curious if you are. Seems to be I don't know what's popular. I do sometimes. I know what's popular. I know who's popular. Tucker Carlson has an interesting take on it. I'm on the side of Ron Paul, who is always correct, but not always popular. I watched Ron Paul today talk about it. Predictably, he's concerned. We're a little bit concerned here about nation building, about neoconservative values taking over the Trump administration in 2026. I think Trump started 2026 by saying it was going to be a year of peace. And he really, really wanted the Peace Prize last year. Maybe now we understand why, because now it's impossible. He went from the president he said he did 8.25 world peace deals so far, because one of them he did twice. So he gave himself a quarter point for it. I think it was Thailand. He's a funny guy, Donald Trump. What do you guys think? I should always check in with my audience, make sure I'm on the right side of history. But I guess the natural way things go is people tune in who agree. But we like to have people who disagree too. A lot of people who are on the Trump train still are excited. Think we're doing the right thing by trying to dominate our hemisphere. And actually, the White House put out a note today that we're planning to dominate our hemisphere entirely. And we're going to take out anybody who doesn't do things that we like and that we profit from. Mostly, we want to make sure none of our real enemies profit from anything that goes on within our sphere of influence, our hemisphere of influence. So China, Russia, Iran. I placed a bet today because, of course, this is the age of gambling. I placed a bet that Khomeini is going out. News came out on Twitter yesterday that the Ayatollah is considering abandoning the country and going to Russia for safety, because there have been protests in the street with a Mossad agent next to every protester. That was according to, I can't remember. Iran has had protests. It probably really is the Iranian people fed up with the regime, but I'm sure they have help too. So I placed a bet that he'd be out. It was at the odds were at 54%. We're looking to earn money however we can, since Bitcoin was up today a lot. I don't hate it, even though I sold a lot of Bitcoin last year, concerned about the future. But Bitcoin was up. Everything was up today. Actually, oil too. Everybody said oil was going to go down. Oil was up today. Lucky Duck says $90 Silver Eagles today. Really? We should check on the price of Silver Eagles. That's great. I have some silver. Gold was up good. Bitcoin, I still have some of that. That was up good. Stocks were up a lot today. They seem to like the war footing we're on, I guess. Everybody seems content that the world isn't going to fall apart. Last time there were strikes in Iran, there is news that Israel has authorized a new strike on Iran, something called iron something or other. So, and you can bet on that too. Apparently, you can get pretty good odds. Odds are, also bet that there would be a government shutdown January 31st. So that's coming up this year. That bet is down 50%. So far, people don't think the government is going to shut down. I'm looking at Kalshi odds right over my eyes over this way. The odds on a government shutdown have gone down since what I placed my bet. So anyway, the world is still ticking along. There is no end. A lot of people are talking about real estate coming into 2026, and that might start to go down. There are a lot of worries and concerns about that, in as much as we talk about the economy. But mainly today, I have a number of clips of President Trump aboard Air Force One with Lindsey Graham talking about what we're trying to do in Venezuela. And that's what I've been covering in the first few days of this new year. January 3rd, we did an intervention. You're not supposed to say we kidnapped a world leader. We seized him. We did a military operation we captured him, Maduro, and he was in court today. He may be anti-Semitic, but he got himself a Jewish lawyer, a good one. Assange's attorney is who he hired. So he was in court today. People were protesting outside of the court. I have those protests. People are protesting pro and anti-Maduro. It is the United States, so you would imagine there are people on both sides of the issue. Some of the protests, some of the celebrations, apparently a lot of the celebrations that people were sharing and that got widely shared in the aftermath of Maduro's kidnapping were fake, it turns out. So I'll show you that. There's been Venezuela slop from people supporting the Trump administration, basically, and saying that we were that everybody was celebrating the kidnapping of Maduro, and they were crying in the streets and thanking Donald Trump for that. Apparently that was fake. So I'll show you the fake video, which got millions of impressions, tons of likes, and everybody believed that it was real. So we have that news for you today. We have update from the Maduro regime, which is still in power under his vice president. Apparently they are going to cooperate with us. So I have been saying that it wasn't clear yet whether we were running the country or not, whether they were going to do what we said and let our oil companies get in there. It looks like maybe we did make a deal with the vice president. So I'll go ahead and go back on what I said and give you an update on that. She is talking about cooperating with us. We can talk about whether or not our oil companies are really going to be interested is up in the air. So anyway, we'll talk about all that news. We'll chat with you guys to see what you're interested in talking about. I had been getting some traffic from talking about Candace Owens, but I watched her show today. It wasn't anything. There's not really anything to report on. Nothing new there. But if anybody's interested in talking about it, we can. And that's it. We'll go over the latest. Tim Walz is not going to be running for governor in Minnesota. A lot of people are happy about that. There's a Craigslist posting people are talking about, so we can show you that in regards to Somali fraud, which really animated lots of people. Big viral video. So basically, actually, you could say this kid, Nick, got Tim Walz really made change just by going out and making video with his mom filming him, is what somebody told me. 23-year-old went out and filmed some daycare centers, and Tim Walz and yada, yada, yada. Tim Walz isn't running for governor anymore. That's pretty much what happened. So pretty impressive, the kind of change people can make with viral videos. Just shows you the kind of era we're in where somebody can do something relatively simple, like knock on doors and videotape themselves and create actual political change. So Trump is threatening other states too, like my state here in California, where we also have lots of fraud, and New York and Illinois. So lots of things are happening. All right. Thanks for joining me for the show. Please feel free to participate and ask any pertinent questions or make any pertinent observations in the chat. We'll be looking at you guys. And let's listen to our intro, and then we'll grift a little. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman, and I bring you the news, the real news. Yes, just like that guy said, this one here has a fewer hairs and one less Siamese cat, unfortunately. May this be done in the memory of Doshi, our old producer. If you'd like to support the show, you can. I'm sure you are happy to hear that. You can tip the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Make sure you classify it as a tip so I don't have to pay tax on it. Buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Go ahead and buy me coffees. I say coffees. You can buy one or many and leave a note. And then I'll read it on the show, just like a super chat. And that's the only way. YouTube is still not active because we are a harmful channel based on the conspiracy theories we spread about the COVID vaccine back in the day. So we'll see what the final result is on that. You can also buy t-shirts, which you'll love to do. We still have t-shirts for sale. They are on an ongoing liquidation sale. We'll show you those at Truth Revolution Clothing. That's truthclothing.io. Here are some of the designs still available. Shirts are still $10 and some are $5. You can buy our propaganda design with your favorite news channels, which give you propaganda. You can still get Truth Matters, unisex baseball jersey, question everything, male and female shirts, Bitcoin shirts. Bitcoin is pumping. We don't feel bad about that. That's good. Bitcoin is pumping right now. So get your Bitcoin saves, Bitcoin, crypto future, HODL, all for $10 and $5. You can get your Freedom of Face USA made shirts for $5. You can get your Last American Vagabond shirts if you're a fan of his. And Lift the Veil is still available in one female design for $5. So get them while you still can. They are selling out, and your size will sell out eventually. So you will miss out if you do not purchase immediately and in bulk. So go to truthclothing.io, pick out what you like, and wear it proudly. People will talk to you. Somebody today in the coffee shop, I don't know if they're still on our website, but we used to sell End the Fed bumper stickers. I have one on my car, and this guy saw my bumper sticker, and he was talking to his wife, and he goes, "Oh, honey, it says End the Fed, not Federal No Reserve. That's a true patriot." That's what he said. And I said, thanks, for my table, because I heard him talking about it. And then he was like, wonder who I was and why I was talking to him. But I said, thanks, because he said I was a true patriot. Not directly to my face, but based on the sticker on my car. So we used to sell those stickers. I think we sold out. But we still have some free stuff on the website, Doshi stuff, if you want it. So, all right. Unsecure signal says, I think the science has actually proven you correct. Well, that's why they restored my channel, because I was saying like things like myocarditis, and I reported on very true information that was totally within the terms of service. And the government told them to censor me or people like me. And I was still getting views on my channel at that time. At that time, an average video on my channel would still get 7,500 or 10,000 views. And they censored it because of the government. And then because of the new government and the Republicans, they brought it back. They felt bad about it. So they restored my channel. They restored channels that talked about the COVID vaccine and got banned. And they restored channels that talked about stealing the election that got banned. Most of the QAnon channels didn't get banned, I don't think, because of QAnon, but because of election fraud claims. They censored all of that back in the day. So we are in a new era where there is less censorship, and we're able to talk about Israel, and we're able to talk about vaccines. We're able to talk about stealing elections if we want to. So this is it, the Elon Musk Twitter era. We are also allowed to spread fake AI created videos as if they're real. So here's one of them. I'll show you that. Here is a video. It was posted by Wall Street Apes. Let's look at the original tweet. It's still interesting. It wouldn't delete the tweet after it got community noted. I would feel bad and delete it, I think. If I posted something that I thought was real that turned out later to be fake, I would think I would delete it. But he left it up. I just want to show you how many impressions it got. 5.5 million views and 118,000 likes and 39,000 retweets. This video of people saying, thank you, Donald Trump, and crying on the streets of Venezuela, praising Donald Trump for kidnapping Maduro. So here was the video. I haven't even watched it yet, so let's watch it. It's probably in Spanish, but let's see.
El pueblo finalmente está libre. El pueblo llora por su libertad. Gracias a los Estados Unidos por liberarnos.
Venezuelans take to the streets to celebrate Maduro's downfall.
Oye, el dictador cayó. Finalmente.
Hey, the final fall. We are free.
Libres. Viva Venezuela libre. Gracias, Dios. Gracias. Oye, el dictador cayó finalmente. Granadito, hermano, esto es real. Estamos libres. Mira, mira cómo está la gente. ¡Viva Venezuela libre! Gracias a Dios, esto es para todos los que aguantaron, se logró.
Thank God.
Estamos libres finalmente. Gracias, Donald Trump. ¡Viva la libertad! ¡Viva!
There you go. Viva la libertad. Even I understand that. My Spanish isn't so good. Viva la libertad. Venezuela Libra. So anyway, apparently it was fake. Didn't stop it from getting a bunch of views. I could show you other things that were fake. They posted old people, as usual, posted old protests and said they were new protests. People showed protests from other countries and claimed they were in Venezuela. In actuality, it seems like the real videos are people protesting America and asking for Maduro to come back. Now, if they didn't say that, if they did protest against Maduro, they'd probably get locked in jail. So I will say that that's probably true. So you can either protest pro Maduro or you can get locked up probably. But the actual protests in the street seem to be people protesting in favor of Maduro. Here's RT's coverage. Apparently, even the Venezuela opposition, that's what RT claims, are joining in the anti-United States protests. Now, we'll have to see where it goes. I've just been saying, normally it always goes like this. At first, it's good. when you do the regime change. At first, it's always portrayed as good. You knock down the statue of Saddam Hussein and say that the people did it. You put up a banner that says mission accomplished, and you show people protesting in the street that are celebrating the United States kidnapping Maduro. But after that is when it gets weird. So, I just have the feeling that most people don't like the idea of being run by an imperialist country. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see, right? We're not going to say we know everything. We're not going to say it's going to be terrible. We're not going to say that necessarily. We're just going to report on what's going on. And some people are saying it might be difficult for our oil companies to get in there. Some people are saying our oil companies don't even necessarily want to go in there, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, here's RT's report on people protesting against the United States. So, and this is actual video, not AI.
We're in downtown Caracas. A huge march stretched through the city today, full of people who support Nicolas Maduro, who support the government, but also many people who don't, were never supported Nicolas Maduro. But what unites all of them is that what happened they find unacceptable. They simply cannot accept that America came. They bombed Caracas, their capital. They kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, and they thought that they could dominate Venezuela. What people here want to show is that they remain unbroken, that bombs and guns and jets won't break them, and that if the United States returns with the threatened military operation, that these people, they will resist, that the women, the men, even the children, they say, will continue to resist, and they won't give up their homeland, they won't give up their minerals, their oil to Donald Trump.
Okay, that's what RT is saying. Of course, they are not our friend, Russia. They're not our friends, so they're going to report that. And who knows exactly if what he's saying is totally 100% true, but seems reasonable that you don't want to get taken over by some imperialist power that just says, oh yeah, we're going to steal your president and we're going to run your country, whether you like it or not. And actually everything you do has to be for the United States. Seems like that's not what people, we say America first. In other countries, they probably want to put their country first. They probably don't think, oh, we should put America first in our country. So, and he says they'll resist. It's entirely possible that there are militias that won't respect the vice president if she says, oh, American oil companies are going to be running things now and will pull out guns if oil companies come there. So that's what they're reporting from the RT. Even though the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, says she agrees to cooperate with the United States, put out a statement that apparently in English says, quote, we extend an invitation to the U.S. government to work together in a cooperation agenda aimed at shared development within the framework of international law and to strengthen lasting community coexistence. So that's apparently what she said, which is a little different from what she said at first, which was that we won't accept any being a colony of anybody. So apparently she is going to cooperate. Trump is definitely threatening her if she doesn't cooperate with a fate worse than Maduro. So that's what the vice president is saying right now. This is what Trump used to say about nation building and about regime change and about removing unpopular dictators. This was the old Trump. I can't say when this is from, but it's before now. He has totally changed. I would say he's drunk on power. Yeah, that's my impression of him, is he seems to be drunk on power right now, if I had to say. Like he's getting a high from doing this. His approval ratings have gone up a little bit, But overall, it's not like he's getting massive support. Compared to the arrest of Noriega, which had massive popular support, people are basically pretty evenly divided, with Republicans mostly supporting it and Democrats mostly totally opposed to it. He's got like a -2 approval rating on this thing. So normally when presidents are trying to distract from the fact that everybody hates their domestic policy and they start a war, they get an approval boost. Certainly when 9/11 happened, a very unpopular president suddenly became very popular. It doesn't look like it's suddenly making him very popular, but his approval rating moved up a little bit. It's up to 42%, according to one poll today. But this is how we used to talk about regime changing people.
The world would be better off with Saddam Hussein
100%.
and Gaddafi in power.
100%. Now, as far as Assad is concerned,
what about the human rights abuses?
Let's talk. Well, you don't think they're happening now? They're worse now than they ever were. People are getting their heads chopped off. They're being drowned. Right now, they're far worse than they were ever under Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. And it all blew up around Hillary Clinton and around Barack Obama. It all blew up. Now, one thing about Assad, not a good guy. I understand that. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's falling to pieces. We have 19 trillion in debt. We have infrastructure that's a disaster. Our roadways, our airports, our schools, everything. We have to start thinking about ourselves. We're pouring trillions of dollars into the Middle East, and we have nothing for it. We have nothing.
The world would be better off with Saddam
So
Hussein.
interesting. Very different. Now Lindsey Graham loves him. Now the neocons love him. Now he hates people that other people like Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who say they want America rebuilt. Now he's talking about rebuilding, literally rebuilding the infrastructure of Venezuela. Like that's our priority. Moving in corporations into Venezuela to make investments. Let me see. I'll maybe play you that clip that he says we need to build bridges and stuff. Let's see if I have that clip. Maybe I don't. No. He said that one of the things he demands is that we're allowed to go in there and rebuild their infrastructure. So Halliburton stock is pumping. It's back to the Iraq war days. All the oil company stocks were pumping big time today. They were the biggest up. But I think people are getting ahead of themselves as far as that goes. And we talked a little bit about the oil. But oil stocks did go up a lot today in anticipation. Halliburton stock, I noticed, went up a lot. They were the ones Dick Cheney used to be at Halliburton, and Halliburton really profited off of rebuilding Iraq after our shock and awe campaign. So Prior Justin says, Lord Governor Rubio. Apparently, the news is they're going to put Stephen Miller in charge of Venezuela. That's what they're talking about today, because Rubio is going to be too busy. But imagine how busy we're going to be when we have to run 5 other countries. How much time are we going to spend here? So we'll see. So I will show you Tucker Carlson is a very interesting character. There are divided factions on the right, some that still support Trump and Israel typically, although that is a little divided too. There are some people that support Trump and don't support Israel. That's kind of just weird because Trump always supports Israel, but that exists. Then mostly it's people who support Trump and Israel. Then there are people that don't support Israel and pretty much don't support Trump and pretty much don't support the kidnapping of Maduro and maybe even support Maduro. I saw a lot of that in Candace's chat today. A lot of people were like, Viva Maduro, which is pretty funny. He was illegally elected. It looks to me, he stole the election in Venezuela. So, and not much was done to prevent that from happening, but he did steal the election in Venezuela. I don't think he was democratically elected. It seemed like he kept power like a dictator. Socialism is running the country into the ground. I don't think he was good or anything. Just that I'm not sure what happens next. That's all. It's just never that simple. Saddam wasn't great either, but it certainly wasn't better when we got rid of him. Assad, I actually kind of liked. I kind of didn't believe a lot of the stuff they said about him. But under this new ISIS guy or Al-Qaeda guy, I don't think it's better. Doesn't seem like it. Libya certainly didn't get better after they got rid of Gaddafi. Gaddafi actually was kind of cool too. He wanted to go to a gold-backed currency, the gold dinar back in the day, and they had to get rid of him. Saddam wanted to do something with money too, and he had oil too. Typically, we don't like it when people go off of our dollar standard. So, and a lot of the stuff in Venezuela may have to do with supporting the petrodollar and just making sure oil is sold in dollars rather than other currencies. But anyway, Tucker did have a very interesting take on it, which, of course, the pro-Israel people hate Tucker. And I don't hate Tucker, but he is a little weird. It is weird that I had Ian Carroll on, of all people, but they talked about Las Vegas, so I think that was fair. Las Vegas is definitely a conspiracy theory that's real. So this is what he said, though. Super interesting.
We can safely discount democracy as a reason for affecting regime change in Venezuela. We're not going to go kill Nicolas Maduro because we don't like the way he's treating his people. It's possible we're mad that he doesn't allow gay marriage. That is a distinct possibility, but no one will say that out loud. Not defending the regime, just saying one of the most conservative countries in North or South or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close, which is much smaller, of course. And by the way, the U.S.-backed opposition leader who would take Maduro's place if he were taken out is, of course, pretty eager to get gay marriage in Venezuela. So to those of you who thought this whole project was globo homo, not crazy, actually.
Why are we trying to install this woman? It makes no sense.
Well, because she'll bring gay marriage to Venezuela, and that's important. I mean, that's what we stand for.
I don't think that's why we're doing it. That is a really weird take. Tucker is weird. I'm not going to be anti-Tucker because he's cool. He talked about 9/11. I thought the stuff on Building 7 was good, but that's a really weird take. I really don't think we did it because we want gay marriage. And anyway, Trump hates that lady. The Washington Post is reporting, and it could be fake. I didn't want to put a lot of stock in it, but a lot of people are spreading that around, anti-Trump people. The Washington Post is reporting that Trump didn't want to install Machado. He did talk shit about her right away. Said that she doesn't have the support needed to install. And we're definitely not pretending in this case. It's very different from the other excursions we went on in the Middle East, like getting rid of Gaddafi and Hussein and trying to go after the Taliban. Every time we did it before, we said we were trying to do democracy. In this case, we're not even pretending that we're trying to do democracy. If we were trying to do democracy, we would want to install another government right away, the pro-democracy government, the government that supposedly won the election. We're not even pretending to do that. We're like, no, we just need a government we can work with, and we think we can work with this vice president better. So interesting that that's what we're doing this time. It has nothing to do with democracy this time. Simply about, mostly Trump just says about oil. That's it. It's pretty clear. Oh yeah. I said I didn't have this clip. I do have this clip. So this is what Trump's demand is to the vice president. Yeah, I think this is him aboard Air Force One. So the clip might be kind of hard to hear, but hopefully you can hear it okay. This is our demand for the new president who is who is the vice president to the old president, still not elected democratically, still stole the election, still a dictator by our own math.
Short term, next 2 weeks, what do you need from Delcy Rodriguez? You've threatened
total access. We need total access. We need access to the oil and to other things in their country that allow us to rebuild their country.
What other things?
A lot of things. Roads that aren't built, bridges that are falling down. Yeah, bridges that are falling down. Nobody can go anywhere.
And on Greenland, torture.
We have
next
bridges falling
2
down in
weeks,
this
what do you
country.
need?
I mean, he wants to rebuild their infrastructure. I'm curious. Unless it must just all be about investment in that country. Pretty much. We're just going to turn it into a colony and have investment and corporations there. And that's the only reason you need roads and bridges, is for people to go to work and for the economy to function. And the only thing that benefits is Western money interests that want to build there. So it's weird. No secret about it. We need total access. Some people are talking about gold. They have a little gold. They have a little silver. We're not really asking about that, so I'm not going to say it's true. Some people are saying we're going to seize their Bitcoin today. They were a Bitcoin country. Don't know if that has anything to do with Bitcoin pumping, but we're thinking about seizing their Bitcoin. Once again, I don't know if the people will be happy about that, but weird. He's talking about rebuilding their infrastructure. Doesn't that cost money? And how does it benefit Americans? How does it benefit Americans if American oil companies go in there? The only way it could benefit is cheaper gas, but that doesn't benefit America either. At this time, at least for oil companies, cheaper gas doesn't benefit oil companies. Oil companies aren't going to be anxious to make the price of oil cheaper. And we have our fracking process is expensive compared to what they do in Saudi Arabia, where they do simple drilling. Our fracking is expensive. Our frackers might be going out of business soon if the price of oil doesn't go up. So oil corporations aren't anxious for the oil price to go down, if that doesn't make sense to anybody. They want the oil price to go up. It's too low already. It'll take years to pump more oil out of Venezuela. It's very expensive. It'll take a long time. Very complicated oil to get out of the ground in Venezuela. So anyway, that's what he said. For some reason, we want to rebuild their infrastructure. America first. America first. American corporations first. He's not talking about redistributing the money from the oil companies to Americans. He's not talking about dividends to Americans. The government makes money off of American corporations through taxes. So it benefits the government, it benefits the specific corporations. It doesn't really benefit Americans, not directly. Unless they go down there and get a job, which people might do. But here's some more clips of Trump. He says we might do a second strike. We've done everything legally we can. So Trump has tried to do things legally. All of them, even the drug boat things, which clearly weren't legal. He's tried to do things legally. The UN today convened. Everybody says what we did was illegal. But our justification for it is the guy had indictments against him, some of which were for having machine guns, which I don't think is necessarily illegal in Venezuela. We're arresting people and putting them up on charges for having things that are illegal in America. Like in America, you can't have machine guns, so we're charging them with machine guns and cocaine transportation. But like I said, he has a good lawyer now, so we'll see how it goes. But we definitely don't have legal authority to start striking other countries like Colombia, like Venezuela. We're not allowed to do that. And Trump so far has tried to keep a legal justification for everything, and they definitely tried to legally justify the kidnapping of Maduro. So, anyway, let's play some more clips. Here he says we're going to do a second strike and maybe put troops on the ground.
We were prepared to do a second strike if we needed. We're totally prepared.
But that's off the table.
We're still prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
Will you demand
the
that
question is
Venezuelans
that the American troops, are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it.
So if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that...
She called it...
We're prepared to do a second.
We're prepared to do a second strike. We might put boots on the ground. We would need a declaration of war to do those things. Legally, at least. Even under our own laws. So we'll see. He's talking about doing crazy shit. He was asked who's in charge of Venezuela. He says, we are.
The next question is who's in charge of Venezuela right now? Have you spoken to the newly sworn in president there, Rodriguez? And what are your thoughts on the entire situation? You said the U.S. would run Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
It means we're in charge.
Have you? The next question is who's in charge.
We'll find out. We'll find out who's in charge. We don't have any boots on the ground. We're not installing a new government. We have a government who seems to say they're willing to work with us on cooperation of some sort. We're going to, he's threatening operations in Colombia, which again, we'll just have to see how we legally justify it. Here he is threatening Colombia.
For our country. Now we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor. And that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. in
It sounds good to me. Yeah.
She said there will be an operation by the U.S. Said sounds good to me. That's a democratically elected president, which nobody contests. So that's not one we can say as an unelected dictator. He was apparently democratically elected, and he's pushing back pretty hard against Trump. So that's Colombia. Sounds good to me. Military intervention there. We're going to get to Lindsey Graham. That's what's in the headline. Here's, so anyway, like I said, reports are that Donald Trump doesn't like Machado, the Peace Prize winner, because she accepted the Peace Prize. I don't know if I said that. Because she accepted the Peace Prize, even though she was glazing. Is that the word the kids use? I want to use it correctly. I think originally Ben Shapiro said glossing and got owned. She glazed Trump after getting the Peace Prize and dedicated it to Donald Trump and said a lot of nice things about him. She's very pro-Israel. And she said she would let in all the oil companies and that America would make a bunch of money from it. But we don't like her anymore. Trump did say bad things about her. And apparently some sources within the White House, and again, this is reported by the Washington Post, so who knows, said that if she had turned down the Peace Prize, then she would be president now. That's what they said. They said if she had turned down the Peace Prize and said it should go to Donald Trump, then she would be president now. And because she didn't do that and he didn't like it, that's why we went with the same regime, just a regime we could do business with. So here's a question about allowing opposition figures to return. Like, this is the part that's confusing probably to some people, is that we're not doing democracy there. We're not talking about freeing political prisoners. We're just really just talking about oil, pretty much just oil.
Go ahead. Now, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
Now, is it fair?
We better bring the country back. Otherwise, you're going to have a mess that's so bad. It was really bad, It's going to get a lot worse unless we go in and fix it.
Is the U.S. going to?
How much money are we going to spend? I wonder how much money we're going to spend and out of what. We're going in debt. It was funny in that clip where he said we had a problem with debt, that we were 19 trillion debt. Well, we've doubled it. Exactly. And under Trump, we're going into debt at the fastest we ever have. And under Trump, the first time is when we did the PPP loans and the bailouts during COVID and went into a ton of debt. He's a different guy. He's not the same guy. He said no regime change. He said no nation building. So it's bad for America. But now apparently we want to rebuild Venezuela before we have democracy there. Before we do any democracy, we need the oil. We need to rebuild their country. Interesting take. So here's where Lindsey Graham is there. I mean, Lindsey Graham is giddy like a schoolgirl. So you should watch him in this clip. So he was the one on board the plane. There's Howard Nutlick, it looks like, next to him. Trump is just surrounded by people that agree with him. He did a better job doing that this time around. And even Tulsi Gabbard is completely silent on this, of course. But everybody who joined the administration, it seems like the one prerequisite for joining a Trump administration is you just have to kiss his ass no matter what, even if it's against your principles. Same way that RFK Jr. used to be against the fat shots. Now, when Trump says he's lowering the price on fat shots, RFK says nothing. RFK says it's great. Tulsi Gabbard was totally against intervention in Venezuela. She's not saying it was great, but she's being awfully quiet. NL6425 says, I'm glad China won't be in our backyard. Am I? So that's, I understand. I'm glad to see somebody who's on the other side of this issue. Do I care that China was buying oil from Venezuela because they were friendly with Venezuela's government? Not really, because China has our treasuries. If China wants to, they can just completely destroy our economy at any time. And also, it would be better if they didn't take Taiwan. And this certainly gives them more of a green light to do so. So, do I want to provoke China like we did with tariffs and everything else? Not really. So the fact that they were buying some oil from this country, it didn't bother me that much. I think countries should be allowed to do what they want to do, but if like they are our adversary, I understand that. But provoking them might not be a good idea. They have a lot of U.S. treasuries. If they sell them all, we're going to be economically destroyed. They could do it at any time. So provoking them like this will probably lead to Taiwan being taken over by China. And right now we have American influence in Taiwan. Right now in Taiwan, they make chips for us. So we don't want them to take Taiwan. Exactly. So do I like the petrodollar? Yeah, kind of. Petrodollar is kind of good. Venezuela was kind of affecting the petrodollar by selling petro and petrochemicals in something denominated in something other than dollars. I think we should try to beat China in AI, but China is doing very well at manufacturing right now. If I wanted to take it to China, we should be better at manufacturing. We could invest in that instead of just trying to prop up the dollar however we can by invading places. We invest in infrastructure here. We invest in factories here. It would probably be with robots, but that's what China's doing. They're about to take over the car industry. They make way more electric cars than our, home electric car making company, Tesla. And they make them for way cheaper. In China, they can get cars for $10,000 that are better than our cars. Not saying communism is good, but China in our backyard. Yeah, they were definitely buying oil from Venezuela. But it'd be better if we were friends, really, honestly. They make things we don't make. In as much as we don't need the things they don't make, in as much as they make things that we don't make, that we should do some tariffs like medication and stuff. We should find some rare earths that aren't in China. And we're doing that a little bit in America. We should make medication here. We should make steel here for sure. But otherwise, it's better if we can not be enemies in general, I think. But we should try to beat China in the things we can. And we are beating them so far with AI, but they're beating us so far with robots as far as robotic factories. Anyway, here's Lindsey Graham. He's excited, super excited.
One of the things that is happening, and I think you see it all the time, Howard, you've seen it, that Cuba is ready to fall. Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
Marco Rubio.
Yeah, Marco Rubio is a Cuban American. He'll be happy about it. So yes, we're excited about getting Cuba. We've wanted Cuba forever, and somehow we haven't been able to get it. Valkyrie, you bring up a word that a lot of people brought up to me, the North America technate. I meant to look into that. Apparently it's something to do with Elon Musk or Elon Musk's dad, the technate. Apparently Elon Musk is extremely supportive of what we're doing right now. Probably because he wants to sell Starlink service in Venezuela. And probably Tesla is in Venezuela. I'm guessing. He's probably happy to open up any market to where he can sell stuff to him, I'm guessing. But there is something called the technate that I'm supposed to look into, which is something that was talked about a long time ago. I can look into it today if you'd like. I can ask the AI about it. I just asked if Cuba doesn't necessarily, let's see this is what Gemini says about Cuba. Trump's claim that Cuba gets all their income from Venezuela is a characteristic exaggeration, but it's based on a very real existential economic dependency that has existed for over 25 years. There's an oil for doctors swap. Cuba doesn't necessarily get cash from Venezuela. It gets energy. Yes. It gets fuel from them. Under an agreement started by Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez in 2000, Venezuela sends tens of thousands of barrels of oil per day to Cuba in exchange for thousands of Cuban professionals, mostly doctors and intelligence security agents. So before the current crisis, Venezuela was sending roughly 50 to 55,000 barrels per day to Cuba. And apparently recently that the flow dropped significantly, averaging only 27,000 barrels per day by the end of the year. This is why Cuba is currently facing 18-hour blackouts. Without that subsidized oil, their power grid effectively stops working. So it could be true that Cuba is about to fall without Venezuela. Trump's claim about income likely refers to a longstanding practice where Venezuela would send Cuba more refined fuel than the island actually needed And then Havana would take the extra fuel and sell it in the open international market for hard currency. And this was a primary source of cash for the Cuban government, allowing them to bypass some of the effects of the U.S. embargo. But they could buy fuel from us too if we didn't embargo them. Apparently, we killed a bunch of Cubans who were guarding Maduro. 35, like apparently it was Cubans who were guarding Maduro. So it's true. Cuba might go down. Lindsay is super excited about that. We've wanted to do that forever. That's why you couldn't buy Cuban cigars. Because we had an embargo on them, because we don't like communism. So here's Lindsey Graham really excited about Cuba.
You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
Ladybug, yeah. You guys get that one. I had to look up the Ladybug reference. Something about him having spots somewhere. Some people say he's a FTM, female to male transitioner. Here he is with a signed photo. So this is what I used for my thumbnail. Here he is with a signed Make Iran Great Again cap. And we may be very close to bombing Iran, which is what neocons like Lindsey Graham and like John McCain wanted forever. We wanted Iran forever. We wanted Cuba forever. So maybe we're finally going to get them. And then let's see what the consequences are. Let's see if it's all great as we hoped. But when Lindsey Graham's excited, when the ghost of John McCain is excited, I get a little concerned personally. It never worked out well for the neocons before. Every other intervention, every other regime change, when none of them have ever worked ever, and those countries always got worse and got more terrorists, I'm skeptical. But there he is, big smile, thumbs up with his little lady hands. Donald Trump signed his Make Iran Great cap there on Air Force One. So here he is on TV talking about making Iran great again. Iran might be on edge. Seriously, the pizza parlors around the Pentagon, the pizza alert is going crazy all the time, it seems like now, from the updates I'm getting. Lots of pizza being eaten at the Pentagon. Gag bars are not busy. All the signals are going off. That stuff is going on at the Pentagon. So it really might be imminent, as in any day, that Israel starts bombing Iran with our support, and then we might be doing it too. We have military assets in place right now. There have been protests going on for almost 8 days straight. They're huge. There's talk about Khomeini evacuating to Russia. It really might be almost a regime change in Iran, seriously, with our help. So that's something that could be imminent, could happen any day. Here's Lindsay.
So
he has a girl's name
hope
too.
That 2026 will be the year that we make Iran great again.
The funny thing is, it's like we care about other countries. I wish they wouldn't put on that act. It's as if we care about Venezuela and the Venezuelan people, and we just want them to be happy, and that we care about Iran or the Iranian people, and that we just want them to be happy. And he wears a hat with the Iranian flag on it that says, "Make Iran great again." It's all for the United States and Israel. It's only about making Lindsey Graham happy and making our corporations happy. It always is. Trickle down to the American people? I don't know. Gas prices can't go much lower because it'll put our oil companies out of business. How do we benefit? And honestly, like, I just don't believe he cares about Iranians. I think he cares about Israel because Israel wants its enemies totally defanged. Israel wants them not to be able to defend themselves, so Israel can do whatever it wants. It's pretty obvious. Here's Lindsey Graham on the same show wearing the same hat, talking about something totally different. And I don't mean to change the subject, but I will. Here he's talking about something totally different, which is also scary, which is something we're doing because of fraud and because of foreigners that may eventually hit American people, and actually would in this case, which is like tourists and stuff for the World Cup. There's talk of them having to submit biometrics, like DNA samples, before they get here. And there also is genuinely, they have to turn over social media in order to get in this country just to see the World Cup, which isn't good for America because we need tourists. I heard it's almost impossible to get a visa now, which I understand. Like, we don't want terrorists, but also like taking DNA samples from people, it's just a slippery slope. That's all. Just a slippery slope. Here he is talking about it, though. Anyone on welfare will have to provide biometrics. That's
Democratic vote because they wouldn't vote for these things. Round two, what I want to go after welfare fraud. I want to rewrite the way the programs work. I want to make sure that every state, before they get $1 for food stamps or any form of welfare, that they send biometrics to the federal government proving that the person exists and they're eligible for the services in question. I want to go after the fraud that's so rampant in Minnesota and throughout these blue states through reconciliation. And second, I want to do an affordability package, making America more affordable to the hard-working men and women of this country through reconciliation. Stay tuned. It is coming.
So let's
Democratic
see.
Vote because they
Anyway, everybody has to submit biometrics to prove they're human. We're going to have to do that to post things on the internet eventually. We're probably going to have to prove we're human. And they're going to say it's because of AI. But it's really so that you can be identified for your post. They can find out how anti-Semitic you are so that they can take away your citizenship and deport you to Somalia, probably. So be careful. Be careful what you wish for in some cases. It goes after the foreigners first, but they'll go after us too. All right, so that's the latest on Venezuela. That's the latest from Lindsey Graham, Ladybird, Lindsey Graham. I have some stuff in the economy, but first let's talk about the communist and, Tim Walz stepped down. So that's good news. I already talked about that. There is this ad in Craigslist where it says they're hiring child actors. So very similar to the other ads on Craigslist, which will show up from time to time of them hiring people for protests. So I didn't cover this already because I can't verify, because anybody can post anything on Craigslist. So and the English is pretty good. It's not perfect, but the English is pretty good. It's not super Somalian sounding. So I'm curious if somebody posted it as a prank. That's all. The problem is I'm so jaded that I don't just believe automatically, but it could be true. It could be that they're actually hiring not crisis actors, but crisis children to fill daycares so that they can get inspected. But that's what the ad shows, at least, is that a daycare center in Minnesota is trying to hire children so they can pass inspection. Whether you believe it or not, I did have to report on it. So it's somebody claiming they want to hire 20 child actors for 3 days while the state is doing an inspection so that they can get money from the government. So it's not impossible. I think the Somalis are calling their friends and telling their friends to bring their kids while the inspectors show up. Because a bunch of news organizations are saying that what Nick Shirley reported isn't true, that there were kids there when they went. So all right, we have a open communist in New York City for real. And he has this white girl working for him. This is actually an old clip of her, but she's the tenant director, I guess, dealing with the rent freezes and stuff. And this is what she said before.
I think the reality is that for centuries, we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good. And we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
There you go.
I think the reality is that for centuries, we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good. And we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
It's always people who, I'm sure she's renting that apartment from someone who owns it. I'm sure she's happy to pay rent to have a place to live. And in order for that property to exist, then there has to be property rights. Otherwise, no one would rent to your dumbass. It's always people who haven't had jobs or haven't ever owned anything. Somebody has to build the property and expect to make a profit from it for them to make it nice for you to hang up your stupid shit. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. Nobody would build buildings if they weren't expecting to make money off your stupid white liberal ass. And it helps make things cheaper. It helps the grocery stores have stuff on the shelves. If people didn't do it because they were going to make money doing it, it wouldn't happen. These communists are so insane. It's like it hasn't been tried before. It's never worked 100% of the time. It's not going to work this time. We have home ownership. It's in our Constitution. It's why we have a country. Anyway, fortunately, she can't do that. But that's the person in charge of tenant whatever. Oh yeah, white people are just gonna have to use to, like, it's not theirs. We're just gonna take it from them. Okay, let's try. We'll just shoot you. Not to threaten people or anything. But go ahead. You know what I mean? Try to take our house. Not that I own anything. I've never owned a house either. The economy is not great. I understand these people having crazy ideas. But I also understand, like, capitalism. That she wouldn't have a place to live. She'd live in a mud hut. Here's what she said. Here's what she looks like too. I mean, you can kind of tell from looking at people sometimes. I mean, it's unfortunate. We don't want to look shame. But she's not looks maxing. She tweeted, her name is Sia Weaver. I'm sure she grew up in I bet she had a, like, pampered existence and gets money from her family to pay her rent. Private property, including and kind of especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy masquerading as wealth building public policy, she said. So there you go. It's white supremacy once again. So that's who Mamdani's got in there. Don't ask me. I wasn't that hard on Mamdani, but this communism stuff, it's not going to work. Just, well, with 100% certainty. So, unfortunately, though, for boomers and stuff who have real estate, it's looking bad. So I'll just transition into some economics talk, which I've been talking about. I said everything is up today. Bitcoin, gold, silver is way up. Everything is up because the dollar is worthless and it's becoming more worthless the more we go into debt. However, it's possible that things will go down. Real estate especially is the first thing people are talking about. And it's going down in certain markets already, especially like Florida and Texas are starting to have problems. Everywhere people moved after the pandemic, like people are actually moving back to California, believe it or not. But condo prices, a big article in the Wall Street Journal about how condos are crashing. Now the prices are still holding because nobody wants to sell, but nobody wants to buy for sure. Anyway, this is about credit cards or actually credit. That's the thing. Our entire economy is based on credit and the expansion of credit. We go through booms and busts because of credit cycles. Listen to Ray Dalio if you want to hear about it. We have credit cycles ever since we got rid of the gold standard, especially. We go through credit cycles. Credit expands. They make fake money. Banks create money out of thin air and loan it based on fractional reserve banking. And there's more money, so things go up. Stocks, real estate, everything. Eventually, credit cycles end. So that's the concern I have, which is why I sold a bunch of Bitcoin. Still, I'm not unhappy that it's going up. It should go up over time because the currency we use is always becoming worthless. But it's possible that things will crash if a credit cycle dries up. This is just a chart showing that people are being rejected for credit. That's all. It's just a chart showing that people are starting to get rejected for new credit. And people spending, like the economy, it's all based on spending. It seems like they say it's like 70% based on people spending money and buying things. Now they're just buying things with new credit, and which they don't plan to pay off. But if people stop being able to get credit, if credit dries up, and then the government operates on credit, we have to continue to go into more and more debt to keep the economy growing with this fake GDP stuff. Eventually, people might not want to buy our debt anymore. So it can start with consumers, then it can go to countries, it could go to corporations. All of the AI spending is debt-based spending. So my concern is that credit dries up. I saw it happen during the great financial crisis when I was selling cars, because all of a sudden nobody could get a loan, or all of a sudden it just switched like that. During the great financial crisis, people could get loans. I saw it because I was selling cars. People could get a loan. Anybody could get a loan, even with shitty credit scores. They were just giving everybody loans. And then all of a sudden, if you wanted to get a loan, you had to submit all your data, all your tax returns, everything. It just dried up. And of course, we didn't sell as many cars. It was terrible. The great financial crisis. So that's what happens when credit dries up. And then you have foreclosures, people walk away from their houses. And that's the kind of thing that could happen. And I'm going to continue to just talk about news about that happening in case it does. So far, so good. Stock market's doing great. Gold is up. Bitcoin's up. Everything's up. But things can change. That's all. So be cautious. That's all. Here's just something about homes not selling. Basically, what's happening in the housing market is that houses aren't selling and people just pull them off the market rather than sell them for a loss so far. People are listing houses. People buy houses with leverage. That's all. The housing market is based on debt. You need to get a mortgage. Most people need to get a mortgage and they care about their monthly payment. Right now, it's cheaper to rent than to buy a lot. It's a lot cheaper to rent than have a mortgage payment on the same property. So people aren't buying, but people also aren't selling. So it's frozen right now. Eventually, though, somebody's going to have to sell, and then the prices will come down. And then once the prices go down to below what people paid for them, that's when people just stop paying and they walk away from their homes, and we have another foreclosure event. So it's getting closer. That's all. I'd be worried about housing first. So people talking about the Jubilee. Yeah. When Jesus came, he said, well, actually the Lord's Prayer says that, forgive us our debts. That's the correct translation, rather than forgive us our trespasses. Forgive us our debts is what Jesus said in the Lord's Prayer. They used to do it for a reason. Every 7 or 50 years, depending on how you look at it. But the arrival of Jesus was supposed to be a Jubilee event, actually. All debts wiped out. But then corporations lose money, and the government is here to protect corporations. Parker says you're seeing more foreclosures. That's what happens when you buy houses with loans and then you're underwater. People don't want to sell, or they're going to lose a bunch of money to sell. People say don't do leverage in stocks and Bitcoin and stuff, but you do it in real estate. They say, yeah, that's great because real estate always goes up, right? You can always sell it for more than you paid for it. But that's looking to not be the case in 2026 for people who bought in like 2022 after we pumped all the money into the system. So yeah, Mikey says the Jubilee is every 50 years, but they used to say every 7 years too. So it depends on which Jubilee, but yeah, it was every 50 years or 49. Some people said 7 times 7. So we'll see what happens. Cy Girl says the subprime disaster led to massive bailouts, not for the homeowners. They still lost their homes, just for the banks. They always bail out the corporations. And we're going to need an AI bailout too this year, because OpenAI is not going to last, I don't think. W. Birkin says 49 years and the +1 was the Jubilee. Yeah. Anyway, that's the news for today, everybody. Not Me says interest is the cost of money over time. There's nothing wrong with it. You need interest because nobody would loan money if you didn't get interest. So saying that usury is bad is kind of weird, because you need loans. People do need to take loans to build businesses and stuff. It is important. And people wouldn't loan money if they didn't get anything back, because they're taking a risk that they won't get paid. The reason there's interest is because there's risk. You wouldn't loan somebody money and not make money off of it, because some people aren't going to pay you back. So it's usury. The thing about banning interest-free loans doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. You need interest. And the Jews, people say the Jews control the banks. It's because for some reason, Muslims and Christians didn't believe in charging interest. So Jews got involved in lending money. But interest is related to risk. Interest is related to risk. Higher interest, more risk. The more risky a loan is, the higher the interest is. Credit cards have high interest because there's no asset, because there's no asset backing it. So credit cards have the highest interest, like as opposed to a car loan where they can at least take your car, or a house loan where they can take your house. So, but there has to be, you have to get paid back for loaning money. It makes sense. But high interest rates, though, people are getting fucked right now on buy now, pay later loans. They get screwed. So anyway, that's the news for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for liking the stream. Give us a like. Thanks for giving us coffees. I'll check my coffees right now. Please support the show if you can. We do require coffee and sugar to function at this show. I require coffee and something sweet to drink, to eat with my coffee. So I require some form of patronship sometimes, if possible. We didn't get any today, and I did drink coffee and I did eat cookies today. So today we have gone into debt for you to give you the news, because we're giving you the real news, not talking about gossip. Didn't lead with Candace Owens, which gets more people tuned in. We know. We led with real news, and we tried to give you real news. So if you want to support that, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can go to Cash App at $LTV411. I think I made a thing on Zelle where I'm also LTV411. And you can buy t-shirts at Truth Revolution Clothing, which is at truthclothing.io. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning into the show every day. And I mean, literally every day. We've been here every day, all over the holidays and everything. This is most people's first day back at work, but I was working Sunday, Saturday. I think I've been here straight for a lot of days. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And we'll see you tomorrow around the same time, most likely 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Lift the veil. Thanks, everyone. And that is what it is.